Welcome back. Today I'm going to cover a little bit about editing skin tones. The software we're going to be using is Adobe Bridge, which is what you see in front of you right now, and Adobe Camera Raw, which is where we'll open up these raw files before converting them into a file that Photoshop can read. All three of these are available in the Creative Cloud for Adobe products. Before we get into the editing, I want to talk a little bit about what makes a good image, what makes a good portrait. The three things that I look for when I am not only taking the photo, but reviewing the photos and editing the photos that I have found personally can ruin or make my image look amazing. The first thing is lighting. So we're just going to take a quick look through these pictures and notice the lighting. This is not a video about lighting, but I just want to take a quick notice of our lighting. We've got some backlighting, which is personally one of my favorites. There's one that we've edited already. So we've got some backlighting. There were some trees behind us, shading and filtering the light coming through the trees. The next thing I want to cover is contrast. If you look at these images straight out of camera, you'll notice that their tones are all pretty similar. There's not a lot of dark tones, there's not a lot of bright tones. It's a brighter image overall, but as far as contrast in the image, we're lacking some contrast. Modern cameras, the more the technology increases, we get a higher dynamic range, which can be incredible because dynamic range allows your camera to see more details in shadow areas and more details in highlight areas. Now this is great for being able to keep those highlights and those dark spots, those shadows, but when it comes to contrast, it automatically decreases the amount of contrast in our image. So every image I now edit, I do a little bit of contrast bump. And then the third thing is color. If you look at an image taken in a green field, you're going to find a lot of green color cast. If you take an image in the bright sunlight, you might have a little bit of warmer color tones. If you take an image inside a chapel or inside a gymnasium with yellow lights, you are going to have a very yellowy image. So what we're looking at here is a very cold image, which means it has a lot of blue tones. And if you look at the image and analyze the image, we're seeing blue in Dad's shirt, blue in the baby's shirt, and if you look at it, the blue almost matches his face and almost matches Dad's face. And when I was there at that time taking this picture, that's not what their skin tones look like to my eye. So I call myself a true to life photographer, meaning true color. And so this is not what my eye saw. So we're going to edit this image to make it look more like a natural skin tone, a little more contrast, and we are going to keep the lighting the way it is. So we right click on the image. He obviously didn't want to leave Dad's lap very much, and that is fine. Sometimes a family session has to trend more on the lifestyle type of a session because baby doesn't want to leave his parents, and that's fine. We got some beautiful images. They're images that their parents will love. So we're going to take this one. It's lit beautifully. It's composed nicely. I wanted the focus to be on the baby, so that's why we don't see all of Dad's face. We're going to right click, open in Camera Raw. As we look at this histogram, we're going to notice that there's a lot of highlights. This side of the histogram means we've got a lot of highlights. And if we look at the image, we've got highlights in the hair and highlights on Dad's shoulder and a little bit of highlights here. I'm going to take my highlight slider, and I'm just doing this part quickly because I want to remind you that we're talking about color cast today, not necessarily about lighting. If you like this video and you want to see more videos like this, we will cover lighting and highlights and all these different adjustments you can make in Adobe Camera Raw. So just follow our channel to learn more. You can also stop by babyphotoacademy.com and sign up for our courses that cover everything from posing, lighting, editing, specific to newborns, but we also cover everything from buying your first camera to advanced lighting. So as we go on, and we've taken care of some of our highlights, I might even go down a little bit more. We're going to look at what it was straight out and just look at the difference in his hair. See that? So we're going to bring it back down. We're going to take this. The benefit of this histogram is you can click and drag, and do you see that contrast going up? So we don't have as many clipped highlights. It's telling us that most of our highlights, we've got a few, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's right there in the top of the baby's head. We're going to pull it in a little bit. So now it's telling us we've got some darks, we've got some lights, and that is definition of contrast, an equal balance of dark and light in a tone or in an image. So as I look at it now, we can more accurately see what colors, because if you've got a faded flat image, your colors are also going to be a little bit faded and a little bit flat. So when we increased our contrast, we actually increased the color tones that we were seeing in the baby's skin. So we're going to warm this up. The first thing that I see people do, especially beginning photographers, and I fell victim to this, is I would think, well, if I want it warm, I just need to increase my yellows, because yellows are warm, and that is inaccurate. Obviously, that does not look like a true to life color tone on the baby's face. So everything I do, we just start in little increments. I want to make a quick note that my screen is calibrated. What you are seeing may be a little different than what I'm seeing. And I highly recommend getting your screen calibrated to your printer. So on my screen, I'm looking at this now, and I've added some yellow. And what happens, just clear back from basic color mixing in kindergarten, if you add yellow to an image that already looked blue, you're going to see some green tones. So what I'm seeing in this image is baby's face is now a little bit green. So if we go to tint, we're just going to pull out some of those greens. Just that little amount. We went from 0 to probably even just 5 or 6, maybe 7. I recommend, as you're color casting or color correcting skin tones, every once in a while just close your eyes for a minute, recalibrate your eyes, and then open up again and see what you're noticing in your image. So I look at that, and I think I've got some great skin tones. I've gotten rid of the greens. There's not too much reds. Dad's face is maybe a little bit dark, but we're going to correct that in Photoshop. The reason we can't do it here is because we can't selectively fix just one portion of an image in Adobe Camera Raw, although you can in Photoshop. So this is just my pit stop. I open up my Camera Raw files into here, I make some basic adjustments, and then I open it into Photoshop. So we're just gonna go, I think it looks really good. I don't think I'm gonna go any further adjustments. We're going to come down here and click on Open Image, and it will take that image and bring it into Photoshop. That's the one we edited earlier. So that's our image in from Adobe Camera Raw. Now I'm going to walk through really quickly how I'm going to finish editing this image. Again, if you want to learn more of the steps I'm talking about, follow our channel, and we'll cover some of these steps like sharpening and creating actions as we go through the rest of our channels, or the rest of our YouTube videos. So I'm going to sharpen it. I sharpen every image just a little bit. This image was taken with a Mark IV, Canon 5D Mark IV, with a 24 to 72.8 lens. So I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to look at those eyes. That lens is so crisp that you can see me in his eyes. That's pretty cool. And that, let me do a Control Z, because I want you to see that it's that crisp. Before, you can still see me in his eyes. When I run a sharpen, it's more of a dehaze. It just kind of seems to take some haze out of the image. So I'm going to put that back in there. I'm going to do a quick adjustment of, or a quick little fixing of the little dirt specks, because little boys have little dirt sometimes on their eyes and on their face. Just clean up his face a little bit using my patch tool. And then we're going to scroll out. I'm going to take a little bit of the yellow out of Dad's teeth. When we warmed it up, it accentuates sometimes the amount of yellow in teeth. Now baby looks pretty good. I'm just going to do some selective lightening of dad's face. And again, that's an action that you can follow our channel, and we'll cover selective lightening of an image. And these actions over here are just things that I've noticed over the years that I've done on a lot of my images over and over and over again, like sharpening. There's some color fixing, you know, less green. Down here we have less red. Correct the yellows, correct the blues. So just things that I've noticed myself using a lot of, and so I created an action. Dad's face has a little bit of red on it, so we're just going to selectively take some red out of dad's face so that dad's face matches baby's face, even though dad's face isn't the focus of the image. And we're going to run a quick portraiture, which is a plugin for Photoshop that does skin tone smoothing. I want to make a quick note that over softening skin is not always good, because babies should have texture in their skin. So a lot of these different things we're learning in Photoshop, I'll do them on a mask, and then I'll decrease the opacity, because I don't think you need to go full 100% on a lot of these actions, because things, sometimes less is more. We're just going to take some of the blemishes off of dad's skin. Maybe add a titch more warmth, which is an action I created that just does a nice mix of yellows and reds, but I'm going to decrease it because I just want a little bit more. And then there's our image. If we wanted to add a little bit more contrast, sometimes it's just adds that little extra kick. I think in this one we added enough contrast in Adobe Camera Raw that I think we're probably good. Maybe I could decrease it just a little bit, and there's our image. One thing I do want to cover really quick that's a neat tool that you can use in your images. If you click on this curves adjustment layer, you can hit Control, click on this line in the middle and pull it clear to the side, and you can see what tones you have in your image that are so dark that you don't see any details. And if it's on the back of the teeth, or maybe the camera, dad's teeth, and maybe dad's hair, I'm not going to worry about it. It's not something that you're going to wish you had later. And then you can do the same thing, hit Control, bring it down this way, and you can see what items are so bright that you don't have detail. And we can see that dad's shoulder and the baby's hair. And again, it's not something I'm too worried about. Looks great. We're going to throw that layer away. It was just used to show you how it looks. So there you go. If you want to learn more about adjustments using Adobe Camera Raw, please follow our channel, and be sure to stop by babyphotoacademy.com and sign up for our courses that really do just cover everything from posing, lighting, and editing your images. It'll help you become a wonderful newborn photographer, but it also covers so many more aspects of photography. We hope to see you soon. Bye.